No, no, no. Okay. Making an impact is not about making a nice impression. It's about making an impact. It's about doing your best. I learned how to make an impact from the wisest person I've ever met in my life. A third grade dropout. Wisest and dropout in the same sentence is rather oxymoronic, like jumbo shrimp. Mm-hmm. Like fun and nothing fun about it. And it's not oxymoronic for me to say third grade and dropout. That third grade dropout, the wisest person I've ever met in my life who taught me to combine knowledge and wisdom to make an impact was my father, a simple cook. Wisest man I've met in my life, just a simple cook. Left school in the third grade to help out of the family fund, but just because he left school doesn't mean his education stopped. Mark Twain once said, I never allowed my schooling to get in the way of my education. My father taught himself how to read, taught himself how to write, decided in the midst of Jim Crowism. As America was birthing the last gasp of the Civil War, my father decided he was going to stand up being a man. Not a black man, not a brown man, not a white man, but a man. He literally challenged himself to be the best he could all the days of his life. A third grade job daddy who was quoting Michelangelo, saying to us boys, I won't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm gonna have a real issue if you aim low and hit. A country mother quoting Henry Ford saying, if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. I learned that from a third grade job, simple lessons. Lessons like this, son, you'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. We never knew what time it was in my house because the clocks were always ahead. My mother said for nearly 30 years, my father left the house at 30:45 in the morning. One day she asked him, why, Daddy? He said, maybe one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence. I want to share a few things with you. Aristotle said you are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act. Don't ever forget that. I know you're tough. I know you're serious, but always remember to be kind. Always don't forget that. Never embarrass mama. Mm-hmm. Yeah, mommy ain't happy. Ain't nobody happy. And daddy ain't happy. Though nobody cares. But I'm gonna tell you. Next lesson. Lesson from a cook up there in the gallery. Son, make sure your servant's tower is bigger than your ego. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Y'all might have a relative in mind. Wanna send that too. Let me say it again. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Pride is the burden of a foolish person. John Wooden coached basketball at UCLA for a living, but his calling was to impact people. And with all those impact people, and with all those national championships, guess what I was finding in the middle of the week? Going into the cupboard, grabbing a broom, and sweeping his own gym floor. You want to make an impact? Find your broom. Every day of your life, you find your broom. You grow your influence that way. That way, you are attracting people so that you can impact them. Final lesson. Son, if you're gonna do a job, do it right. I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I wanted to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of these people, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best. Let me close with a very personal story that I think, or with a very stories with with a with a very personal story that I will bring all this into focus. With a very personal story that I think will bring all this into focus. With a very personal story that I think will bring all this into focus. With a very personal story that I think will bring all this into focus. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources. Wisdom will come to you in the unlikeliest of sources. A lot of times through failure, when you hit rock bottom, you remember this. While you're struggling, rock bottom can also be a great foundation on which to grow. I'm not worried that you will be successful. I'm worried that you won't fail from time to time. Person gets off the canvas and keeps growing. That's the person will never continue to grow their influence. That's the person will continue to grow. That's the person that will continue to grow their influence. Back in the 70s, to help me make this point, let me introduce you to someone. I met the finest woman I've ever met in my life. I've met in my life. Back in my day, we have called her a brick house. This woman was the finest woman I've ever seen in my life. This woman was the finest woman I've ever seen in my life. There was just one little problem. There was just one little problem. Back in ladies didn't like big or linemen. The blind side hadn't come out yet. They were like quarterbacks and running backs. We are at this dance. Trina Williams from Lompoc, California. And we are dancing and we are just excited. And I decided in the middle of the dancing with her that I would ask her phone number. Trina was the first one. Trina was the only one in college who gave me a real telephone number. The next day we walked to Baskin Robbins ice cream parlor. My friends couldn't believe it. This has been 40 years ago and my friends still can't believe it. We gone on a second date, and a third date, and a fourth date. We drive from Chico to Vallejo so that she could be my parents. My father misses her. My daddy, my hero, he misses her. Pulls me to the side and says, is she psycho? But anyway, we go together for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. We go together for 4 years, but by now China's a senior in college. I'm still a freshman, but I'm working some things out. I'm so glad I graduated 4 times. I'm so glad I'm graduating 4 times. Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan. So now it's time to propose. I talked to her girlfriends, and it's California. It's in the 70s, so it has to be outside. Have to have a candle. You have to have some chocolate. Listen, I'm from the hood. I had a bottle of Boone's Farm wine. That's what I had. She said yes. That was the key. I married the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. You're ever been to a wedding? You're ever been to a wedding? And even before the wedding starts, you hear this. And even before the wedding starts, you hear this. How in the world? And it was coming from my side of the family. And it was coming from my side of the family. We get married, we have a few children, our lives are great. One day, Tina finds a lump in her left breast. Breast cancer. 6 years after the diagnosis, me and my two little boys walked up to mommy's casket. And for 2 years, my heart didn't beat. It wasn't if it wasn't for my faith in God, I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't be standing here today. I wouldn't be standing here today. If if it wasn't for those two little boys, there would have been no reason for which to go on. I was completely lost. That was rock bottom. You know what started me? The wisdom of a third grade dropout. The wisdom of a simple cook from California Maritime Academy. With a casket. I never seen my dad cry. But this time I saw my dad cry. That was his daughter. Tina was his daughter, not his daughter-in-law. And right behind my father, about to see her for the last time on this earth. And my father shared 3 words with me to change my life right there at the casket. It'll be the last lesson he would ever teach me. He says, son, just stand. You keep standing. You keep standing no matter how rough the sea. You keep standing. I'm not talking about just water. You keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up. I learned that lesson from a third grade dropout. And as clearly as I'm talking to you today, these were some of her last words to me. She looked me in the eyes and she said, it doesn't matter to me any longer how long I live. What matters to me most is how I live. I ask you all one question. A question that I was asked all my life by a third grade dropout. How you're living? Every day, ask yourself the question, how you're living. Here's what a cook in the dining center would suggest you to live this way. That you not judge. That you show up early. That you be kind. That you make sure that servant's tower is huge and used. That if you're gonna do something, you do it the right way. That cook would tell you this, that it's never wrong to do the right thing. That how you do anything is how you do everything. In that way, you will grow your influence to make it impact. In that way, you will honor all those who have gone before you, who have invested in you, from teachers to grandparents to mom and dad. And when you combine that academic knowledge with that wisdom, oh my goodness, you will change the world. So that class 2017, it is with great honor. I'll say all your lives. Look in those unlikeliest places for wisdom. Enhance your life every day by seeking the wisdom and asking yourself every night, how am I living? Maybe God literally bless you all. Thank you for having me again. Today I repeated Lickby's speech almost sentence by sentence. And I really like this speech, the meaning and what his life story is. 감동이 뭐지? 감동. Wait a minute. I will transfer what I think. Help me Google Translate. 감동시키다. I'm impressed. His speech was impressed, and I repeated this speech almost at least 50 times. So this is time to memorize whole speech. So I I will print this speech and in earnest is it right? I don't know. In earnest, I will memorize her speech. This is right time to do this. Anyway, these days I felt a little bit enhance my English skills. That's because when I saw some videos on YouTube which is made by foreign, especially English area, I I can hear a little bit more than before. So I'm so proud of myself, and really because keep doing something is really difficult. But I have little bit know-how, which is which is uh, which is if you want to do something regularly, you have to write like this. 설거지가 영어로 뭐지? Before when you go to sleep, you have this is this means that before you go to sleep, I will to wash the dishes. Actually, I'm not good at this, but when you see this message regularly, my subconscious memorize these things, and every time before some do something, you have in your head there are some chord is opened. What I'm talking about is when you do something, there are some chord is heard in our brain, which is my head decide if I have to do or I don't have to do. Between two choices, my head decide which I have to go on, do or don't do. And if I see this message regularly, there are good chance of do this thing. If I memorize, I will do wash the dishes before go to bed. Memorize or see regularly. There are good chance of do this message. That's the key, I think. Likewise, wow. English too. If I wanna, I always see these things regularly. these things regularly, just 30 minutes, I will do stretching before I go to work. Maybe care of care of my health. I will eat vitamin, work out every day at least 30 minutes. I will sleep at least 7 times. Eat meals regularly. This is my conscious thing, and see this thing regularly. My unconscious is change little by little to do these things. I think every day I wanna enhance my English skills and study at least just 10 minutes, and this will help. This will enhance my English skills. I totally believe it. Of course, I can't speak English very well in short term, but it doesn't matter how sooner how soon I learn or speak. Just do something regularly is the more important. And in retrospect, in my life, I didn't do something regularly in my history, which means if I want to do something, I did at the first time, I did really hard, just a few days or a few weeks, and after that times, I quit do something regularly. It means I can't enhance what I wanted to do. Short term high speed, it means nothing, but do something little bit by little bit, long term, it changed my life. I I didn't I didn't until these days, but I will prove do something regularly can change my life. I wanna make I wanna make evidence. I can do something regularly and it actually change or improve my life. Anyway, I did my best to speak English or repeat commencement commencement graduation speech. So I will I will do another thing what I planned. I'm really proud of myself, and I will do what I planned in Miracle Saturday. See you tomorrow. Good.